Okay. Yes, our dear viewers, welcome again yet to our YouTube channel, Hope Chemist. Please subscribe and share with your friends for more chemistry items and scenarios. So today we are going to look at some experiments or apparatus used in a chemistry experiment. We may not look necessarily at an experiment, but we shall look at the most common apparatus used in the chemistry laboratory. So first things first, all this down here are some of the most common apparatus we use in a chemistry laboratory, and we are going to look at each one, the name and the use if possible. So allow me to start from my left hand side. We shall start with the retort stand. So this one is used to clamp or hold apparatus in position without falling away. We have a wash bottle which contains water for washing our apparatus in case we are interested in washing. We have measuring cylinders. These measuring cylinders are used to measure accurate volumes. However, they range from different sizes depending on the capacities they are able to measure. With this one, we have the one of 2 liters, which is big enough as you can see. We have the one of 250 milliliters, which is the next in size. We also have the one of 100 milliliters. So depending on the size, the measuring cylinders can be present. So these, we even have smaller ones depending on the capacity, but they are called measuring cylinders. Then we have a test tube holder, which is used to hold test tubes when carrying out experiments. As you can see, I have used it to hold a test tube. So this also brings us to this, that this is called a glassy test tube. So these test tubes are kept on a rack. So we call this the test tube rack. So since they cannot be kept on being held, we shall be keeping them on a test tube rack. Then we have a dropper, which is used to add small amounts of volumes to our analytes during the chemicals. Then we have a petri dish for storing solids for experiments or even putting specimen if we are in a biology student. Then we have a spatula for scooping solid particles into our reagent bottles or where we are supposed to use them. Then we have a filter funnel, which is used for filtering, separating mixtures of solid and a liquid. Then we have this is called a fractionating column. It is used for distillation, and the method of fractional distillation, we use this as a fractionating column, or it will be used. Then we have a reagent bottle, which is used for storing chemicals or reagents in the chemistry laboratory. For example, in this specific one, we have stored ethanoic acid in this reagent bottle. We have a weighing scale, which is used to store to weigh our solid compounds depending on the wish. Then we have a glass retort flask. So this one is used to carry out a distillation. When carrying out distillation, we put our mixtures here, then we heat on a Bunsen burner, and then the vapors are collected through this long tube. So its name is a glass retort flask. Then forward we have a burette. This burette is used for titration. If we have a titration exercise and we are interested in titrating, we shall be using the burette, which gives us accurate measurements of liquids. Then we have the Liebig condenser. This Liebig condenser is used in the distillation process to cool down our vapors. So we have a point where we have cold water in from down here, and then cold water out, hot water moving out from this side. So this one is a Liebig condenser used in the distillation process. Moving forward, we have these two items which are called round-bottomed flask. We call them round because they have a round bottom. So they are used for mixing chemicals during reactions which involve heating. So any reaction which involves heating a mixture of organic or chemicals, we use round-bottomed flask for heating. And the sister to this apparatus is the flat-bottomed flask, which also has the same use of mixing chemicals during the heating of chemicals in the laboratory. So these two are used for that, round-bottomed flask and the flat-bottomed flask. Then we have this we know as a bell jar. This bell jar is used for isolating experiments during chemical reactions. So if you want to isolate your experiment from the atmosphere or the outside world, we shall be using the bell jar. Then we have the gas collection tower, which is used for drying gases. So in case we are interested in drying some specific gases like ammonia, we use the drying gas jar or tower, which is this. And then we have the gas cylinder or the gas jar, which can collect our gases from inside, and then we can use it in different ways, upward delivery, downward delivery of gases, and so on. Then this apparatus here is what we call a separating funnel. This separating funnel is used to separate mixtures of liquids which are immiscible. If we put here a liquid or two liquids or three which form separate layers, we can be able to open the tap, and then we see how we can separate the two layers of compounds present. But mainly they have to be liquids and they are supposed to be immiscible with each other. In future developments, we shall be showing you how this separating funnel works. So keep tuned in. Then we have a pipette, which is used for pipetting accurate volumes during titrations of small aliquots, depending on the capacity of the pipette. Then we have the conical flask, which is used for reactions or carrying out reactions and mixing chemicals in the titration process. And you can see this is the conical flask. And then we also have the volumetric flask, which can appear in different sizes. So in specific, this one is a 250 milliliters volumetric flask, which is used to measure or make solutions of accurate volumes. Then we are having these two. We have a glass beaker and a plastic beaker, which are used for mixing our chemicals in the laboratory or even measuring volumes in the laboratory. So finally, we shall look at this apparatus, which is very special in our chemistry laboratory, known as the Bunsen burner. It is used in providing for us heat during chemical reactions, and also we shall cover it in the next episodes of Hope Chemist. So these are some of the few apparatus which can be found in a chemistry laboratory, and a chemist on a daily basis interacts with at least 5 of these apparatus during a chemical reaction or during an experiment. Many others are there, but these are the most common ones in a chemistry laboratory. So thank you for listening in, and let's meet again in our next channel or our next video, and I hope to see you again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Thank you.